Well, hello, my friends, and happy Sunday. It's Shawn Petite, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Look at this beauty today. Oh, there's so much goodness in it. I'm so excited. Here are the supplies. There's a lot of them. I just played today, and a lot of stencils, and of course, these will be on sale this week for you. So I'm starting on a 12 by 12 MDF board. It has already been gessoed black. I bought them that way. It was kind of a clearance kind of thing, which is kind of nice. But I am just now going to put down some papers that I pulled from my stash. Lots of vintage wallpapers up top, and some script and some just kind of random book pages that I found. None of the papers really have a whole lot of meaning. The script kind of does. I used it for a separate project, but I just liked the look of it, and I knew I was doing a floral and wanted kind of that wallpaper effect. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do at this point, but once I got that wallpaper laid down and I started putting some papers over the top of it, I loved it just the way that it was. And so I didn't cover up too much of it. I did just do a little bit of kind of pushing it back. But you'll see that in just a minute. I'm using Liquitex Fluid Matte Medium to put down my papers. But that kind of torn random bits of paper just, it made it just feel like this old peely wall kind of thing. And I positively loved it. So now I've got two color tool shapers that I'm trying out. I tried my Catalyst tools last week, and I'm determined to find some new tools and fun things to play with. So I'm using them in this video, and you're going to see me struggle with them all. But I've got some InDesign or Redesign chalk paste here, and it's super thick and yummy, and that's the hand-drawn mandala. And I just stenciled that out onto a piece of mixed media paper, just cleaning off my stencil. Always remember to have your junk journal or your nothing journal out so you can clean off. But I got that chalk paste dry, and I'm just putting a little bit of acrylic ink. This is muted gray, and I didn't want it to be, I love the pattern, I love the texture, but the white was bright white, and so I wanted to kind of mute that down and give it kind of an aged kind of feel. Sprayed a little bit of alcohol in it to kind of marble that and kind of get some speckles here and there. And I'll add just a little bit more just to kind of get some fun pooling and that kind of thing in it. And using a water on my brush and just kind of watering that down. Adding a little bit of transparent raw umber in the acrylic ink, again for some grungy, yummy goodness on this. I didn't want it to look fresh and pristine and perfect. So here I am using that color shaper again, and I struggled. Oh my gosh, I struggled. I'm determined though. I'm nothing if I'm not persistent. So I will struggle my way through trying to get some good coverage with the color shaper and some kind of grunginess. And I've seen tons of artists use these, and the look is fantastic. I, however, was not getting that. I used cocoa brown in Arteza, some gesso, and now I'm putting on some gray. And the thing that I've figured out with the shapers so far is that I like the sheer layer that I can get with them. That's about it right now. But I've got lots of discovering to do with the color shapers and the Catalyst tools as well. So I'm not giving up. I am determined to figure out how to use them and make them give me some grungy goodness. So I'm adding just some white, trying to feel my way with the shaper and get some feeling for some kind of grunginess. And at this point, I positively hated what I had down. It just was not working for me. I couldn't get it. So I switched to my palette knife, and oh man, did it feel good. Talk about comfort zones. That's what we're talking about today. That was my comfort zone. So I got a different shaper because I got another one because I'm determined. And this one worked about the same. So now I've got a Catalyst tool. And that one was my favorite because it was firmer and I had a little bit more control and I could get a sheer layer with it, but I still got a lot of learning to do. So, but that's why we create, to learn and grow and all those kinds of things. So you are going to see me switch back and forth many, many times between a palette knife, the shapers, the catalyst tool, just to try and figure out what I'm doing and how to get the look, because I know what I want. I just couldn't get it with the tool that I was using, but I'll get it. I'm using a little bit of sugared peach for this background, and it's by Americana paint, and just getting a real sheer. I wanted it to be super sheer because I loved, look at how gorgeous that looks. And I just wanted it to be super sheer and kind of grungy, but not dark grungy. I didn't want to take away from anything, and so I didn't add any raw umber or anything to that. So I'm just cutting out my vase now out of the image that I stenciled. And before I put that down, I wanted to add some color, because you're always looking for contrast, or I'm always looking for contrast, and the vase and the base or the table were too similar. So it needed some color. And I didn't want to add a lot of turquoise because I didn't want to take away from the turquoise that was up above. So I opted for some Prussian blue and Lucas acrylic paints, and then I'll add a little bit more blue from Arteza, and it is perfect. So now I'm taking a bunch of jelly prints that I did in the new Mixed Media Kickstart workshop, and I'm going to stencil right onto them. I'm using several different flower stencils. This is a hydrangea stencil. The other one was the large rose stencil. And I'm just stenciling right onto that jelly print. And now I'm creating my leaves from the jelly prints too. And the pattern behind the actual stenciled image or the drawn out image is so lovely and adds this wonderful interest to the composition of the floral arrangement. Plus, I love doing it this way because I can move things around, I can tuck things under, I can get that composition just the way that I want it, and have most of the collage pieces for the background, and then do some of the original painting or stenciling on top of them. So I kind of got them laid out to where I want them, and I used my catalyst tool to put the gel down, and didn't like that, so I went to my brush. Oh, struggle is real. And I switched to matte gel because I've got heavy papers that I'm putting down and all that texture, and I needed just a little bit of extra oomph in my collage. So now I've cut all of those pieces out, and I'm just putting them down, and this is just one of my favorite things to do. It's like all the pieces coming together. So wonderful, I just love it. And then of course I will add to it, but I'm going to put all this down and get it all collaged down in their spot. So all of the supplies will be listed on the blog, and the link to the blog will be down below in the YouTube description box. So here's where wonderful experiments and accidents happen. So I stenciled this on, and I had some other paint on my sponge, and the color was terrible. But when I wiped it up, it left this wonderful sheer image that looked so vintage. And so I was like, oh, look at how gorgeous it looks. I just positively love it. Using all the different stencils for my leaves and things like that. I love using stencils because it's just fast. I don't have to think about it. I can just get it down, and it's done. And especially for backgrounds too. I'm using Arteza's olive green paint. That's their craft paints. Love Arteza's new craft paints in the vintage colors. And so I waited to put some of the flowers down until I got some of the other stenciling down. And now I'm working my way up to the focal point. And you'll notice that one of the flowers I completely paint over. And that happens, and that's okay. Don't be controlled by what you've already got down. Go with what feels right and will look good. I'm trying to be really loose with my flowers to just create quickly and not be too perfect about it, because this is kind of scratchy and grungy and all those kinds of things. So, and I positively love how it turned out. Trying to make sure I have some varying colors in there so that they're not all magenta, that I add some lights and darks to it, so that we've got some contrast between the flowers. Now I'm going to kind of let those middle flowers dry, and I'm going to come around and just start adding to the flowers and the collaged flowers that I have down. So just making them brighter and lighter, adding a few just free brush strokes to kind of resemble some flowers or some sprigs of, you know, maybe wildflowers or status or something like that. I've got my soft pastels out, and now I'll just start to bring it all home and add the highlights and the lowlights and the contrast and all of the interest that makes this come alive and feel painterly and unique and really bright pops of color. Love using my pastels. They're so easy and no risk involved. And I'm adding low lights and highlights to the flowers. The hardest part of using soft pastels is finding the right color, because they're all so awesome. And you can kind of see that I got some leaves kind of sketched roughly on the side there. I did that with the camera off, not really even thinking about it, but it gave me kind of a structure for where I was going to go to kind of scribble in some additional leaves with my pastels and with my charcoal pencil. I'm going to switch between a hard charcoal pencil and an extra soft charcoal pencil for my lines. I've got a Stabilo Woody out here and trying to darken up some of that white, and it just wasn't quite getting it. So I'll go back in with a white soft pastel. But I'll switch between my hard charcoal pencil for the outline, rough sketchy outlines, and then I'll go to my soft charcoal pencil for more shading. I will add some contrasting colors with the Stabilo woody pencils. They're super easy to use. They are not permanent though, so you have to be careful when you're using them and you are sealing your project. You've got to make sure there's a fixative on there so that they stay in place while you're sealing. And now I'll just kind of start the process of adding all my scratchy lines. And the scratchy lines really just, to me, make it feel not serious and whimsical and fun and unpredictable. So I hope you stick around for the conversation at the end. I am really passionate today about this piece and the meaning and the quote behind it, and I really kind of talk about how the quote has inspired me and shifted me and inspired this piece, and talking about comfort zones and taking risks all at the same time, and that's kind of what new beginnings look like, and that's the title of this piece. So I do hope you stick around for that conversation. It's a good one. And again, all the supplies will be listed on the blog, and the link to the blog will be down below in the YouTube description box. I'm putting on the final touches, the last bit of shading and depth and dimension. It's that last little bit where you just kind of fuss and you kind of have to go, okay, I'm done. So this is the Vintage Words stencil, and I wanted it to be super light and in the background, not to be super strong. And so that's why I chose this stencil, and it says New Beginnings. Shading the edges, and we'll add a few more little tiny bits here and there, touches, and that's it. All right, my friends, I will see you next week. Well, happy Sunday, my loves. This has all the yummy, grungy goodness, layers, texture, all my favorite things in one place. Or I should say most of my favorite things. Oh my goodness, I just love this. Couple things really quick. Stencils that I used. There's a lot. I used a lot of stencils. Those are all going to be on sale this week. In case you haven't heard, the new Mixed Media Kickstart workshop is out and available, and people are loving it. I'm getting such good comments and questions and responses from students, and oh my goodness, I'm just super thrilled. And it's answering lots and lots of questions. So I am super excited about that. So you can check that out. I'll have a link in the blog post. Along with all the supplies and all the stencils and everything in the blog post, and that link is down below. I think that's really it for right now, which seems really strange. It's been very calm and I've had a chance to rest, which was so needed. I was completely depleted but at the end of December, and we're only a weekend or whatever. I don't even know. I'm terrible at knowing what day it is in general anyway. You had COVID restrictions and staying home, and everything blurs together. So this piece, oh my goodness, I went over everything in the video, but this was so much fun to just create and play and be scratchy, messy, and all the layers and the paper and just all my favorite things. This background I would do over again 100 times. All the how I just, because I wasn't really even thinking, and that's always the best time, and my best art is when I'm just going for it and I'm in my zone and just playing and having fun and having it be kind of a restful thing instead of a like I gotta get this done. And that's what this was this week, and I'm so grateful for that. Let me see, the inspiration, it says I wanted the words to be there but not really there, so that's why I didn't outline them or shade them or anything. I just wanted it to be very kind of in the background, but it says new beginnings, and my inspiration came from, let me pull this up. So on Instagram I follow an account called Mark and Angel, and they have a book out, which I don't have, but I think that I will probably get. And I'll have a link to them, because I'll have this quote in the blog post. But the quote, they just do quotes, and they do inspirational quotes, and that's their book too. So that's just right up my alley. But one of the quotes that I came across just, recently was, it says, "A new beginning means nothing if you're still in love with your comfort zone." Now I'm going to read this and then we're going to recap, because there's a lot here that I want to explain. A new beginning means nothing if you're still in love with your comfort zone. Know this: don't live the same day 30,000 times and call it a life. Growth begins now, at the end of your comfort zone. Dream, attempt, explore. This moment can take you in any direction you want to go. Okay, I want to break this down, because everything has a different meaning to me right now because of the year that we came out of, and even still what we're dealing with and going into 2021. So I broke this down as I looked at the quote, so a new beginning means nothing if you're still in love with your comfort zone. Now I want to say this: I would love some comfort zone right now, to be honest. I know that we only grow, or I'll speak for myself, I only grow and change when I'm uncomfortable. And 2020 was all about uncomfortable. And what this quote really kind of focused, it gave me some focus, because I realized that I grew out of all of the things 2020. And for that I am grateful. I realized how strong I was. I realized how inventive I can be. I realized so many things now. Not when I was going through all the things. I was just trying, really honestly, to survive. And really that's kind of how it is a lot of times when we're stretched and outside of our comfort zone. We don't realize all of the wonderful growth and courage and strength that we have when we're in those moments, when we're in those years, when we're in those times. So then, so growth comes, a new beginning means nothing if you're still in love with your comfort zone. So I like being challenged and stretched, and I know about comfort zones, and I preach and talk about don't get stuck in your comfort zone, especially when it comes to art, because when we step outside our comfort zone, it challenges us. We learn something. We learn a new technique. I like these leaves that I did where I put the paint down and I was like, ooh, I did not like that at all. And I wiped it away, and when I lifted up my stencil, I was like, oh, that's really pretty. That's that kind of challenge and the growth that happens in the comfort zones, in a very simple way, of course. But sometimes we do need to be in a comfort zone for a few minutes. And even when we're creating, sometimes it's great to just go back to that comfort zone. We need to grow, and we need to stretch ourselves, and we need to step outside the things that we're constantly in, and we don't want to stay in the same place. I don't want to create the same art over and over and over and over and over again for the rest of my life. I'm going to learn something new and kind of shift and change, and that's happened this year. But sometimes to just kind of catch our breaths, the comfort zone's okay, for a little tiny bit at least. And I think about that when I think about art, is that when I'm feeling kind of in a rut, I will go back to the things that I love the most, and just try maybe one new thing. And what it does is, like, so for this piece, this is not anything really new. I kind of started doing some of this scratchy stuff a few months back, and I love it. But I did try some different textures and some of the different papers kind of overlapping over the texture. But this kind of easy kind of comfort zone creating for me helps me just kind of get the creative juices flowing. It helps me feel like, all right, I was able to accomplish something, and now maybe I'll step outside a little bit more of my comfort zone. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can be gradual, and we can take a step back and then move forward. So there's so much to this quote that I love, and yet it's tempered with what we are going through, what we've been through, and what we're going through. Don't live the same day 30,000 times. Sometimes that's what it feels like when you're in a pandemic. And yet every single day is different in some sense. And so we can't stay stuck. That's the basic thing. I can't stay stuck in feeling miserable and angry and feeling grief and all those kinds of things for 2020. I have to step outside of that and look for the gratitude and look and get rest and take care of things so that I can move forward. We can move forward. And then it says, growth begins now. At the end of your comfort zone, dream, attempt, explore. This is the kicker right here. This moment can take you in any direction you want to go. And so that's the focus of this new beginnings, is every day, every moment, every hour is a new beginning. If we take a chance to dream, explore, what was the words again? Dream, explore, dream, attempt. Didn't say do, it didn't say finish, it said attempt. Dream, attempt, explore. So this day is a new beginning. Today, this day could take you in a new direction if you step outside your comfort zone just a little bit and dream, attempt, explore. Explore a new medium. Explore a new pencil. Attempt a new color, a new texture. And that can apply to our lives. Attempt a conversation that you haven't had before. Explore a new way home. That's a big one for me because I go the same way all the time. But today is so crucial, especially in where we're at, because we just don't know where things are going. And this has brought me so much hope for the future, because all I have to focus on is today. And today, I can step outside my comfort zone a little bit, and I can dream, I can attempt something, and I can explore. I can find gratitude today. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about what happened last year. Today. That's that changed it shifted my thinking. It lifted the weight. It just was so profound that today I can attempt to step outside my comfort zone. I might not do a great job at it. That's okay, because all I'm focused on is today. It's not saying I won't do it tomorrow or the next day. So that's my message for you today, my friends, to dream, attempt, explore, to step outside your comfort zone just for today. And then tomorrow wake up and do the same thing. Find your gratitude and your grace in there, and we're going to be okay. I know it. I feel the shift, and I'm super excited and incredibly grateful. All right, my loves, I hope that you find something to explore and to attempt and to dream about today. And I hope that you always know that you are loved.